Hello and welcome to Night Code Chess. Today we are going to talk about the opening e4, e5, queen h5, which is the scholar's mate attempt, and also it can also be known by the name of the Wayward queen attack. It has been played by Magnus once, I think, and generally though it's considered to be a beginner's opening, and correctly so, because it breaks the principles of opening development, which say that we bring our knights first generally, and we do not bring our queen out fast. So a queen move on the second move of a game is not a good move. Generally beginners play this because they hope to get an easy checkmate. That is a bad strategy because if black defends safely, if black defends carefully, white will be behind in development and should have a disadvantage. However, it is possible for white to play this and to try to play for development after doing a few of these bad queen moves, but black should always have an advantage. Nonetheless, some have presented it as an interesting option for white. I've heard it said, I think Magnus said that it is a good opening for beginners because they get development and they can just play a decent position for attack. But however, I really think you can do better with white here if you are a beginner. I don't think there's any need to bring out your queen so fast. There is even a chessable course about this line. But again, I really don't believe you should be playing such openings. When you are a beginner, you need to play principled openings. I would recommend playing the Italian game. Because sure, if you go for some cheap checkmate threats, sure, you will have some opponents who maybe make mistakes. Maybe they'll play knight f6 and you get queen takes f7 checkmate. Sure, you will, but you will run into opponents who know how to defend, and you will always get a worse position after. So please don't do this. You have higher chances of winning and of improving as a chess player if you play according to the principles of opening play. Take the center with your pawns, bring out your pieces in the center, castle, connect the rooks, and then you can continue play normally. You will get far better positions than by trying such openings. However, of course, we as black, we need to see how to counter this. Okay, so queen h5. He wants to take on e5. Knight c6 is the correct move. Bishop c4. He wants queen takes f7 checkmate. As a side note, please remember to avoid this. I remember when I was a beginner I did this mistake a few times. It is not a good move at all because now we run into a very nasty fork. And this happens. I know it's happened to me when I was a beginner, and I'm pretty sure I've seen others get this. And now white is winning because they have an extra rook. Okay, bishop c4. Now we can hit the queen because e5 is protected. Queen f3. Okay, he wants checkmate again. We wish to continue our development, so we don't waste time with moves like queen e7. Yes, because again, queen move early in the game, not great. Knight f6. Simple and reasonable. Now white has to make a choice. Most beginners who play this, they just want to try and go for checkmate or some attack. So they will just make another bad queen move. So they wasted time making 1, 2, 3 queen moves. Meanwhile, we just developed our pieces. That is a disaster for white, and now white is losing, in fact, after queen b3. Or the other possibility, the one recommended in the chessable course, is to abandon the checkmate ideas and now just try and play for development and maybe an attack on the king's side. The general development idea being knight e2 to take control of the d4 square, and then knight c3, d3, bishop g5. That is white's reasonable way to develop. And it's okay, but black should always have an advantage here because of their extra development. Okay, first before we move on to this main line, I wish to show what we do if white is uninspired and plays queen b3. Again, a move like queen e7 is fair, it's reasonable. We defend on f7 and everything is fine. However, because white is so far behind in development, we don't need to do that. We can just make a threat of our own. Knight d4. Now bishop takes f7 is no longer possible, because after king e7, the white queen needs to defend both c2 and f7, and it cannot defend both. Let's say it goes here. Now we have b5. And suddenly this is a big problem. What can white even do? Queen d3 still protecting here, and we got the extra bishop. Yes, so we are already having a huge advantage. Therefore here white should play maybe queen a4, but knight takes c4 is already extremely nice for us, and everything is quite okay. c3 trying to chase our knight away. We have even the very nice queen h4 idea, and if g3, we have a nice tactic, which is knight takes g3, f takes g3, queen e4, check, and we will take his rook and we will win the game here. Okay, so queen b3 trying to attack again, very bad. This is what you get when you keep on breaking the principles of opening play. 1, 2, 3 queen moves in a row. You cannot expect to get a decent game after this. You cannot expect even to survive. So the main move is knight e2. However, let's say if white is not careful and they play knight c3. This looks like a beautiful move, a very reasonable opening move, but the problem is they do not control the d4 square at all. And now we get to play knight d4, and we threaten a fork on c2, so white needs to bring his queen back. And now we get to play c6 and are aiming to play d5, hitting the center. Knight f3, bishop g7. We are never worried about knight takes c5. That is really not a problem at all for us. Because let's say knight takes c5 here, we can play d5, and we will be winning because his king is extremely weak. So for instance, let's say d5, he takes d5, and I think we have many moves here, so probably this is not the only one that would give us an advantage, but we can just castle. Castles, knight takes d5, and we just really have a nicer center. Now we are threatening to take that. Let's say if black goes back knight f3, we even have bishop g4, and now we will exploit this pin. So we will always have a nice advantage, and that pawn really doesn't matter because we have this huge advantage in development. And again, white needs to castle here because if they do something like this, now we really will have a much greater advantage. So they need to get their king out of here as fast as possible, or else maybe they won't even get to castle anymore. So we don't care giving a pawn at this point. Okay, so anyway, bishop take. Okay, so we had knight f3, bishop g7, castle. Again, knight takes c5, we don't care about it. It's pretty much the same principle as before. We will play d5, knight takes d5, and just we will reach pretty much the same variation. See? So, however, instead of castling, one other alternative he has is to is to play knight takes d4. Again, we are winning here actually, because when the knight on c3 moves, we will take v4 pawn, and that is a winning advantage. So really the best idea for white is probably to castle and then try to play slow, but so not knight takes d4 and not knight takes c5, but we will play d5 with black and have a huge advantage anyway. So black is so much better here, no matter what happens. So that is why he needs to play knight e2 in order for us to not have knight d4 right now. So he doesn't get to bring his queen back to d1. Sorry. Okay, so we play bishop to g7. A normal move, we prepare castling. Knight c3 now, castle. d3. d6. So far, very reasonable. Now white will generally not castle immediately because he wants to try and push us fast. So he will play bishop g5. The point of this is to try and, let's say if we are careless, he will get knight d5, and now he is exploiting this spin and we are in big trouble. Let me make it red. Okay. So we would be in very big trouble. So we don't give him time. As soon as he goes bishop g5, we need to hit him with h6. And now he has a choice. Does he take our knight or does he run away? The main move is to run away and claim that he forced us to weaken our position just a little bit. Trading bishops trading bishops is not a problem for us at all. We just take with our bishop, not with our queen. We don't want to do that. Why trade queens? And we go bishop g7. And now I think we can just go king h7, and probably we will go for bishop e6, queen d7 and f5 at some point. So bishop d2. Yes, he does not trade his bishop. Now we go and try to bother him. We do not want to let him castle in peace. We go knight d4, and now again we threaten this fork. So his queen cannot run away, because if he goes, let's say, queen g3, we have knight takes c2 and we pick up his rook and we should win the game. So instead he needs to trade knights. He needs to go knight takes d4. And now we have improved our bishop by quite a bit. Now our bishop's diagonal is longer and we have the c5 square for the knight. Let's say knight d5. Now we can just go knight d7. We don't want to trade knights. We just want to kick it away with our c6 pawn. We threaten here knight e5, forking the queen and bishop. Sure, the bishop is defended, but we will be quite happy to trade it anyway, because it is a good bishop for white and we are happy to get rid of it. Queen g3. Why does this? In order to not allow us knight e5 and to take the bishop, because when we go knight e5 now, the bishop will go to b3. If he does not, so if he plays knight f4, now he gives us time to trade away bishops, and that's exactly what we do, and now we have a nice advantage again. We have better development, this pawn is weak, we are threatening to take it, and we have a bishop pair too, so this is very nice. Okay, so queen g3, c6, knight there, and now we can smash the center with d5. Sure, we give him a pawn, but we have huge compensation. So let's say he runs away. If he takes, we just go rook e8. And now his king is in trouble, because wherever he goes to f1 or d1, let's say he goes here, this rook is not coming into the game. So sure, we have one less pawn, but he is playing without a rook for a really long time, and we should manage to get a winning advantage here. let's say rook e8, king d1, knight e5. We are happy to try and trade his bishop away again. D takes c6, we take back. Bishop runs away, bishop f5, h3, a5. Sure, we're not gonna get checkmate in one move here, but we have amazing activity and threat. So we threaten here maybe a4. We have ideas with rook b8 and some threats on b2 at some point. We even have some ideas maybe with c5 and c4 again at some point. Even bishop f6 and bishop h4 could be an idea. So we have huge compensation for that pawn, and this rook is not coming into the game. Pretty much same happens if he goes to f1 instead of d1. Same idea. Also, as a side note, in either line, if he plays bishop b3, now we just play c5, and again we can just play bishop f5, maybe a b5 aiming for c4, and we just really will smash his position here. So maybe when we play d5 he will play bishop b3, trying not to take. But again, we have huge activity with our pieces. We bring our knight to c5 here, maybe to trade his bishop. Whenever he takes, we just give check. And if not, we are also threatening twice here, so he doesn't really have many options. Check. And now, sure, we take on d5. And the line could go queen f3. Bishop takes d5 doesn't work because of g5. And knight takes d5 doesn't work because of knight takes b3, and now we pick up the piece again. So maybe queen f3, he's looking to take here, but again, we are happy because his rook is far away from the game. As long as the king cannot get out of its way, the rook will not move in. And so even though we may lose this pawn, maybe, it doesn't matter, we have extra development. Rook e5, we can still defend again. And now we can try this maneuver, rook f5. Threatening the knight on f4 with g5. g4, he doesn't want to give us time. Now queen g2, he is ready to take on d5, maybe, and bishop d7. We really just don't care. And we have a very big advantage here. Because the king is weak, this rook is out of play, all our pieces will easily come into the game. This is weak, so maybe at some point we would have queen h4 ideas and also looking with a bishop here to take. So white has a lot of ideas. Black has a lot of ideas here, and white simply does not have enough. Alright, so this was the main line basically. As a side note, there are maybe a few additional lines I'd like to show. If you remember, yes, after we take, white needs to go knight d5. If black plays knight e2, now we can bother him again in the center. We are so happy to open up the center when his king is stuck there, because we want to bring our rooks to threaten his king. So we just open the center, and we don't bother with anything other than bothering his king. Now we threaten to take on e2. f3 blocks our bishop. Bishop d7. Sure, again we lost the pawn, but who cares? He cannot castle. If he castles, rook takes e2. If he plays some move like a4, we have queen e7. We threaten checkmate again. He needs to defend, and again he cannot castle, or we will take twice here on e2. And then we can just play queen e5, and we are threatening knight takes d5, and we have excellent development, and his king is in big trouble. Wait. His king is in very big trouble. So these are most of the main lines here. besides bishop g5, there are also some sidelines with a3 and or h3. But these are super rare. I'll just go over them very briefly. After a3 we can just play h6 to stop bishop h5 outright, and then bishop e6 to trade his light squared bishop. If he tries to bring in the knight, we just trade, and now I like this move very much. We can do e4, which is an amazing intermediate move because we open up the e5 square for our knight, so we don't have to go back here to e7 where it was not nice. White needs to do this because if d takes e4, now we have a very nice fork. White needs to protect his bishop, and now we take this other pawn, and we have a superb bishop. His center is totally open, and just we have a crushing advantage here. There's no way that white will survive this. Absolutely no way at all. So this is pretty much an overview of the wayward queen attack. I hope I've shown you how to counter it with black. I think there are few players who would actually try and play it seriously beyond the checkmate threat, but there are some who would, and it is good to know how to punish it. And also it is good to know why it's not amazing to play it as white. Very important that. I intend to do more opening videos in the future, even about better openings than the wayward queen attack. I will attach the, if you are interested in the PGN file for these lines that we have looked at today, I will attach a link to the Licha study where you can go and look at these moves and download them if you like. If you've enjoyed the video, please comment, like, subscribe, and let me know what you'd be interested to see on this channel in the future. I have big plans ahead. Thank you and have a nice day. Goodbye.